Hey guys, it's Universe here. I'm back in a video, and today guys, I'm back once again for another review video. And today guys, this is one I am very excited to do today because we have three different genres that we're going to be reviewing today, guys. And it's going to be fun because today guys, we're going to be reviewing Hours Unusual, Jurassic World Chaos 3 Season 4, and 5 Nights at Freddy's 2. Now guys, I had a lot of fun watching both these genres. I was going to say movies, but one of them's a show. Hours Unusual was a pretty good, interesting short film. Jurassic World Chaos 3 Season 4 was pretty interesting and very emotional. And 5 Nights at Freddy's 2, it was okay, but we'll get to that when I review it. So today, guys, I'm going to review these all in order of when I watched them and give my thoughts. And I don't know what else to say, but yeah, I'm just going to review them today, guys, and tell you guys what I thought about them. And again, fair warning for anyone, since FNAF 2 had recently come out, if you guys have not seen FNAF 2, or by any chance you have not seen Chaos Theory Season 4, just as a warning, there is of course going to be spoilers, so if you do not want to be spoiled by any of these, if you've not seen them, then again, click off the video, go watch them for yourself, and come back until you've seen them. But if you have seen them, then again, feel free to stick around. So to start this video, guys, we'll start my review with Hours Unusual. So to start my review for Hours Unusual, guys, which again guys, it was made by Tween Animation, so shout out to you, bro, if you do see this video, and I hope you're excited for my review and thoughts about this. I'm going to start by saying that the animation design has definitely been a step up from Nothing Unusual. It's a lot more vibrant, with the visuals and everything, and it's a lot more, clear with the quality, which is, I really do like about this short film. But as for the film itself, I will say it was great, but in my opinion, it was kind of maybe fast-paced, a little too quickly paced, and I feel like they could have done, he maybe could have done a little bit more with development with the characters or something like that, or with the story. But regardless of that, it was in no way terrible. It was amazing. So in case you guys don't know how it starts off, well, it first starts off with a recap of what happened at the end of the first Nothing Unusual movie, after when Azumi defeated the starving skeleton, and then her identity of being a Roku Kubi is revealed to Awa, but she still is not, she still is friends with Azumi no matter what, and then her and Kurita value her efforts of saving the city, basically. However, they're not the only ones who've actually seen Azumi's value his efforts. So we actually turn out that there's two other people who are actually friends with Awa, named Rei and Nia, who are close friends of Awa in high school, basically. So they actually have saw everything go down, and they are shocked as well to see Azumi's efforts. So then after that, it cuts to present day, where Awa is seeing the destruction of the city after the battle from the last movie, and we do see her interacting again with Kabe, the giant dog creature, which she has a bit of some character development in this, which I'm going to get to in a second. So she's riding around on him throughout the city to see all the destruction that was caused. And then soon we're introduced to the movie's main antagonist, a girl named Lydia, who is your typical high school bully, basically, your typical female high school bully, who, I'm gonna be honest, she just the first sight of seeing Lydia already made my blood boil and already made me hate her, because she is such a freaking bitch, honestly. I'm hoping me cussing doesn't get me striked, but I think we'll be fine. But literally, she is such an a-hole with how she treats Awa and her friends. Oh my god, she just pushes them around, just roasts them, and bro, she's just a jerk off. So as she's kind of taunting Awa, soon Nia and Rei come and they defend Awa from Lydia, and they just tell her just to back off and just yeah. So I do feel bad for Awa to deal with shit like that from Lydia, really, that's just, but as I expected, Lydia's kind of portrayed as your typical high school female bully, I've seen those in movies and such. So they come to Awa, and they heard about Azumi's efforts of saving the city, and they want to actually try and get Azumi a gift to thank her, or show to appreciate her. Also, it's worth mentioning that Rei, who was actually Nia's boyfriend, actually brings up Godzilla in this as well, where after they see all the destruction in the city, he says, like, for real, bro, Godzilla really took a massive dump on this city.
For real, dude. Godzilla really took a massive dump on this place.
I did find that funny if you guys saw my reaction, because first we have Godzilla referenced in Tokyo, Japan in Sonic 3, and now once again we see this happen in the Nothing Unusual universe in Ours Unusual. So that's kind of ironic how we see Godzilla mentioned once again. So yeah, the trio, they want to find a gift for Izumi to make it up to her. Well, not like make it up to her, but at least also like help her feel better after she just got out of the hospital from her injury. So they want to make her feel better by finding her a gift. So Awa finds like this necklace to act as like almost like a necklace or a medal of honor for her. And as they're going to like visit Izumi, Rei does actually ask a very good question to Awa about where she found Kabe, and this is what they explain. So it turns out that during a school field trip, Awa was at a yokai parade, and she actually found Kabe, from what she explains. So even though it's kind of like a short way of explaining, I do like how they at least did reveal how these two met. So that was good nonetheless, of how they actually showed these two meet each other for the first time. So that was good. But then after that, they come across this abandoned house, which looks creepy, and Awa did actually state that it could be true that there was rumors of some yokai actually living in the house. And as they are curious about this house, once again, Lydia shows up and starts mocking the group, and she decides to go in and try to actually like film herself in there for a project in school. Awa does beg Lydia not to go in there, but of course she refuses. And if you guys saw my reaction, I was literally telling myself that if I was Awa in this situation, I would just let Lydia go in there and let herself get possessed by a demon or killed by a ghost or whatever, because if she's going to be this much of a douchebag, then just let her ass get killed. But unfortunately, and even then, I didn't actually hear this during my reaction, but Rei actually brought up a good point by saying that, like, telling Awa, I mean, like, do you really have to? And then Awa pulls, like, this weird, like, anime trait.
You two stay here. I'll go after her before she gets herself in trouble.
Do you have to?
What?
Just kidding. Go get her.
Oh, and speaking of which, I will say that I do kind of like the more anime traits that Toon Animations did go with this film, because he did tell me in the comments for my review when I revealed Nothing Unusual that he was kind of wanting to push more away from the My Little Pony Equestria Girl style animation and go more to like a more anime stylish like thing to the movie. So I did like how he kind of did that, even though I'm not really too big on anime because of those kind of traits. The way this was kind of done was a bit hilarious. So yeah, Rei did bring up a good point, like saying to Awa, like, do you really have to save Lydia? I mean, literally, like, you saw how she's been to you. She's been pushing you around, acting like a bitch to you, and you want to go save her? Like, no, let her ass get killed. But no, she goes in there, she tries to stop Lydia, but she then tells something to Awa that makes her feel very heartbroken. And she looks at her grades and does see that she's doing pretty bad, given from what Lydia said to her. But then she does get a text from Izumi saying, like, where she gives us support that she actually has what it takes to pass, like, her test or whatever, which makes Awa feel good. So then she continues to try to find Lydia, and then she comes into this room where she's ambushed by a group of these creepy-looking cats, led by another one named Lizu, who actually speaks telepathically, because at first I wondered, like, how she talked without her mouth moving, but it's through telepathy or telepathically. And we find out that they actually have captured not Kurita, god dang it. They've captured Lydia, and they're about to do the same thing with Awa. So as Nia and Rei are waiting outside for Awa, Kabe notices something's wrong, and then the three bust inside the house to rescue them, and then we make a shocking discovery that Lizu and Kabe actually knew each other years ago, before the present day, where it turns out they were part of like the old, like, I guess like World War II or something else. I could be wrong of what war it was, but they knew each other like around that time. And then I think it turns out Kabe had actually abandoned Lizu like years ago, and now she feels betrayed by him. Now you would probably think that like during this they try to like get the two to reconcile. You would probably think that she would be too consumed by hatred and like betrayal for this, but actually no, she actually accepts like to let them go. Like they said, like because like Nia explains that we can help you if you can do that, or if you can allow us to help you, can you let Awa and Lydia go? And she actually willingly accepts their offer and actually decides to like accept what they can do to help. So then what happens is they end up getting saved by like the military, or like a group that deals with finding yokai. She ends up getting taken away, but she does tell Kabe to keep his friends safe. So that was, I guess, nice. And then Lydia kind of does get her comeuppance, where she does ask Awa, why did you save me? But Awa makes a good point that how it's best to, I guess, maybe save people regardless how mean they are to you. And she even tells Lydia that you're welcome. So maybe then Lydia, I guess, does have a bit of some repercussions for her actions, but she does get payback. But then she is given payback by Nia when she literally flips her off by pulling her the middle finger. So that was funny and a good sweet revenge right there. So after that, it then cuts to Awa giving Azumi the necklace, and then the two are still having a really good connection with each other. And Awa does explain that she kind of does feel that she doesn't have what it takes to go for what the world has to offer, but Azumi basically assures her that she does have what it takes, and that anybody can have what it takes. And then that's how the movie ends. Well, there is a post-credit scene where we see this weird one-eyed dude with these other creatures which sound like raccoons, where they go back to that abandoned house and he says that it's clear to go. So, if you guys have seen my reactions to Nothing Unusual 2, the official trailer, we did see that guy in the trailer, so it seems that this is setting up for the second movie, so that will be interesting. It is actually why I wanted to react to Awa's Unusual first before the trailer, just in case if the trailer was going to give any spoilers to Awa's Unusual, if it was going to connect to that spin-off film. But other than that, Awa's Unusual was a good film, though I still liked Nothing Unusual better, not because it was longer, but I feel like that it had a lot of more story and development to it. Because in Awa's Unusual, as much as it was a good film, I feel there could have been a little bit more character development and a little bit more story. When I first saw this, I thought it was going to be really good enough and long enough where there was going to have a lot of really good development and story with the characters and whatnot. But then as it kind of went on, it felt like it just quickly went by a little too quick, in my opinion. But again, the movie was in no means bad. I liked it. And again, the animation was definitely improved over the first movie. How it's a lot more vibrant than last time. But so yeah, other than that, I honestly did enjoy Awa's Unusual. And for my rating, I'm going to probably give it an 8 out of 10. Great movie. It wasn't entirely as on par with Nothing Unusual, but it was definitely a great movie. So again, Twin Animations, if you do see this, I hope you liked my thoughts about your new spin-off film, and I am excited to see what else you have planned for the Nothing Unusual franchise. So yeah, guys, that was my review on Awa's Unusual. Now to get on to my review for Jurassic World Chaos Theory Season 4. So to start off my review for Jurassic World Chaos Theory Season 4, guys, honestly, guys, I don't know where to begin to say for my review for this, because this season, guys, really had me going, honestly. I was broken when I saw this season. This was nothing compared to what the last 3 seasons of Chaos Theory had to offer. I was in shock and just in tears from what this offered. But I will get to the moment that made that happen in a bit. So again, or as expected in Season 4, in the first episode, this picks up right after the events of Season 3, where Darius, Brooklyn, Ben, and Yaz are on a autopilot helicopter to Biosyn Sanctuary to try and uncover its secrets and get Biosyn taken down, while Kenji and Sammy and Smoothie are heading to Biosyn themselves on foot or through a vehicle to try to find Bumpy. So while Darius and his group are on the helicopter, they are briefly encountered by the Quetzalcoatlus, but had a close call with it, which I will... now, guys, I won't be going over everything again like how I did for the last few movie reviews, because we'll be here all day, but at least we'll talk about everything that was interesting. So when they do get there, they do encounter one of Brooklyn's old, friends, or some sort named... I think it was, I forgot the name already, god dang it, but he's an old friend of hers that actually makes Darius feel a bit jealous with her, even when she actually calls this guy Dino Nerd, which makes Darius feel very betrayed, and he even says something very like bad says something to Brooklyn that actually was kind of savage. And this is the first time we actually get to see like as you know, in a lot of the seasons of Chaos Theory and even Camp Cretaceous, there's always like some kind of drama with some of the campers or members of the New Bar 6, and we actually for once get something of drama between Darius and Brooklyn, which was actually a bit shocking. Meanwhile, Kenji and Sammy do come across Lewis Dodgson when he's introducing Rexy to Biosyn's resident Giganotosaurus Zeb, who I will also get to in a second as well. So he tries to like bribe or and also use some persuasion to get Lewis Dodgson to show them where Bumpy is, so they can buy her from Biosyn and get her out of there. But as we know, Lewis Dodgson is nothing but a manipulator and a trickster, so he's of course one step ahead of them. So I kind of don't really want to keep going because I actually just want to get right to the dinosaurs, honestly. So I guess I just start off with the dinosaurs. So of course, Rexy of course was done pretty well in this. She didn't really have too much to go in this season, but it was done alright. She was given justice though, don't worry. And speaking of justice, you're probably already asking me, what did I think about the Giganotosaurus? My thoughts about Zeb the Giganotosaurus, I will say this, they really did him justice in this season. They really did him, and the whole season itself really had done Dominion justice in this season. Like, Zeb was actually treated a lot more like an actual threat in this season than what they did to him in Dominion, than him being an innocent dinosaur trying to survive. But then again, I still kind of saw him as a dinosaur trying to survive, but he actually was being shown to be more intimidating and, like, feared by other dinosaurs. Like, when he is first introduced, like, to Rexy, the two do duke it out, and once again, Zeb does end up kicking Rexy's ass and besting her, but we do see Rexy get a few other good hits off. Like, she does bite Zeb in the tail, but Zeb kind of gets the upper hand this fight. And then when Zeb defeats Rexy, the two eye each other, and then Rexy walks off back into the forest. But the way Rexy was glaring at Zeb was literally making her tell Zeb, like, you win this round, Zeb, but I'm gonna warn you, I will be back. I will get even with you. Like, I could just tell by the way Rexy was just glaring at Zeb, was just maybe like, oh, she's not gonna let Zeb go easy on this, or go out easy like this. And then Zeb does end up, we do see Zeb once again, where he attacks a herd of parasaurs and kills one, ambushes a pack of Dilophosaurs, and tracks down the New Bar 6 after they reunite in the forest to try to find Bumpy, and then begins to chase them throughout the forest. Before Rexy once again ambushes Zeb, and this time actually makes a very good comeback in, like, actually kicking Zeb's ass, which I really like that from Rexy. So we finally saw that Rexy can indeed hold her own against the Giganotosaurus, which is good. Which I really liked that. So we actually got to see Rexy get some really good payback on Zeb, apparently. As much as I do respect Zeb, it was nice to see Rexy kicking his ass for a bit. As for the other dinosaurs, the Quetzalcoatlus, as I said earlier, was also pretty terrifying, like when it almost attacked a helicopter, and then attacked the New Bar 6 in this outpost when, at one point, they did run into Dr. Wu, where Brooklyn begins to scold Dr. Wu for everything he did with getting those Atrociraptors from earlier in the series to attack her and almost kill her. But he explains that he wants to make things right, basically, because as we know in Dominion, Dr. Wu wants to have a change of heart in fixing the error in his ways. And speaking of, actually, I'll get to the Atrociraptors in a second, but so as they destroy these files, as Dr. Wu said, when the Quetzalcoatlus attacks them in the outpost, they do get in a Jeep to, like, escape it, but it ends up, of course, picking the Jeep up and dropping in a tree after when Darius tranquilized it and it was getting, like, subdued from the tranq dosage. And they literally had a close call with almost falling out of that tree, honestly. It was already giving me the Jurassic Park vibes when the Jeep fell into the tree when they were escaping Rexy. That's what it was reminding me of. And speaking of Atrociraptors, the new Atrociraptor pack was actually very interesting. I did like how I feel like now, with how they portray Atrociraptors, I'm starting to think that Atrociraptors are way more intelligent than the Indominus Rex and Velociraptors and the Indoraptor. Because, so there was like a training simulator scene where they had two Atrociraptors, they managed to outsmart it, and what happens is, the yellow Atrociraptor gets the gray one to jump on its fucking back, to jump up towards the towards like the viewing platform, and then break through it to attack the scientists. And the yellow one was grabbing onto like the laser pointer and like steering across the room. And I actually thought at first that it was gonna point the laser at the scientist, and it was gonna somehow activate it so the other one could kill them. But unfortunately it didn't. But if they actually did happen, I would have lost it if they actually did that. And then during this, the kids are Brooklyn, Yaz, Darius, and Ben are in like a room. They have like 4 or 5 more Velociraptors, and Brooklyn ends up putting her hand down to calm one of them down. And then Darius was asking like why are they not attacking her, because they haven't been told to yet. And the way they were doing that was already giving me like season 3 episode 14 of my series vibes, when I calmed down the Velociraptors to stop them from attacking me and Jaden. And even at one point when the group reunite, they do mention that the Velociraptors were trained to kill. Already giving me Save the Multiverse vibes when the Velociraptors had their character arc. Like, holy crap. But anyway, and then also another thing I forgot to mention about the Quetzalcoatlus is that I did notice that they actually used the sound effects of the giant goose from Puss in Boots 2011, like the first Puss in Boots movie. They actually used sound effects from the giant goose, which I found it to be pretty interesting. And speaking of the sound effects, I did notice that they actually did change the sound effects for the Giganotosaurus. Jack Ricks told me it was because of the budget, that they apparently didn't have the budget to use the sound effects, like the old sound effects for the Giga. But when I looked it up, it said that they used new sound effects because they wanted to like evolve the dinosaur to having them feel more like paleo accurate with sound effects or something. At least from what I looked up on Google, but I don't know. I don't know the exact full reason if there's 2 explanations. But anyways, to kind of take a bit of a break on the dinosaurs for a bit, because I want to talk about what goes next. So, what happens is, after they got out of that tree that they landed in when the Quetzalcoatlus dropped the Jeep in it, the Jeep does end up falling out of the tree a little while after they got out of the tree, and the alarm starts going off, which starts freaking out all the herbivores. And then they almost end up getting killed, and what happens is when Brooklyn tries to use the car alarm just to draw the herbivores away from her friends, it dies out. But then she gets on top of the Jeep and starts screaming like a Neanderthal, almost like Spear, to drive the herbivores towards her. And she literally almost ends up sacrificing herself, but thankfully Ben does tackle her out of the way just in time before she could get killed. And Ben like yells at her saying like, "What were you thinking, Brooklyn? You could have been killed." And then she just breaks down crying. She basically is feeling very guilty for everything that's happened, and she wants to make things right. And then when she starts breaking down crying, Ben immediately calms down and understands her pain or whatever, and forgives her. But unfortunately, it only gets worse, because what happens is out of nowhere, a Stegosaurus runs into the group and smacks Ben in the chest with its tail, which knocks him out. But that's also not the worst part, because now Ben is in critical condition, because now he has a piece of the Stegosaurus' spike pierced through his chest, which, bro, that's gotta be fucking painful. So now Ben's in critical condition, could be on the verge of dying, since he has a Stegosaurus spike in his chest. So in order to treat him, they can't pull it out, because if they pull it out, then he could literally die from eternal bleeding. So the spike is pretty much going to act as a plug to keep him from bleeding a lot. So now they have to try to find Ben help, but since they don't have a vehicle, they have to go on foot. But Brooklyn knows there's actually a medic center not far from where they are, so they begin to go there. But then soon nightfall happens. But it gets even more worse, because then that's when the forest catches fire from when the locusts were released, and then they're in a very bad situation. And as they're making their way there, they're then attacked by the Therizinosaurus, which in this season was actually very terrifying, because when they were running from it to get to that medic center, the way it was chasing them was just so terrifying, because it wasn't running after them, it was literally just walking. Literally, it was like Jason Voorhees, like how we know how Jason just walks out calmly after his victims. That's literally what the Therizinosaurus was doing. It could have been doing that because it was blind, so probably just like it couldn't really fully see. But again, there was even shots where we saw like its eyes with how it was blind, which made it look even more terrifying. But they do manage to escape from the Therizinosaurus and get inside safely. And they tell Ben to stay so they can go get help. But Ben actually tries to stop them, because he actually says that he's not too worried about himself getting help. But what he's more worried about doing is finding Bumpy. which even though he's in very critical condition, I do like how he's actually putting Bumpy first, how he's putting the life of a dinosaur, like a living, breathing creature first before him, which I would say, like, Ben, like, I understand, like, you are concerned for your dinosaur pal Bumpy, but bro, you're literally in no condition. But the kids do agree to kind of, like, go off, like, split up, so they'll find Bumpy and get medic supplies, which they do so. Darius and Kenji go to find medical supplies, while Brooklyn and Sammy go off to find Bumpy. And they do that together because they do reconcile after some bickering from earlier. And then Yaz stays with Ben, who also holds Smoothie, which, by the way, Smoothie gets way more adorable in this season, by the way. So as Yaz and Ben are sharing feelings for each other, Darius and Kenji return with the medical supplies to help Ben, and not long after that, Brooklyn and Sammy return with Bumpy. And now, before I continue further, this is the part I really need to talk about. When I watched this scene when Bumpy and Ben reunited and Ben introduced Smoothie and Bumpy to each other for the first time, guys, I kid you not, I literally broke down in tears. And I don't mean like I was just tearing up. I actually was legitimately crying my eyes out. I was so, like, not heartbroken, but I was so emotional during this. Like, it was so impactful for how emotional it got. Like, it wasn't, like, bad. Like, it was good. Like, it was heartwarming to see, like, these two finally meet. And I guess maybe it was just, like, the reunion, the soundtrack, or just Smoothie's, like, adorable sound effects that made it so, like, heartwarming. But I don't know. But either way, it was so emotional. I legitimately could not stop crying. Like, and even when I rewatch this scene still, I still cry. It's so impactful. Like, this is the first time in a Jurassic, like, genre of, like, via a movie or a show where I actually get very teary-eyed and start crying. Like, it's that impactful. Watch this scene and I bet you that you will not hold back tears. I'm telling you right now. This is the part that literally made the season, like, get, like, even better. But there are other scenes that do get emotional, but they didn't really have that much of an impact from this scene. So there's a nice scene where Ben reunites with Bumpy, and the two reunite, and then Bumpy and Smoothie share a moment with each other. But then soon, everyone then starts to hear, like, the protocol activated where all the dinosaurs are being moved to, like, the safe zone from the fire. So what happens is Yaz and Sammy volunteer to get to get Bumpy and Smoothie there. And while they're going, we do see, like, other dinosaurs that were actually part of Biosyn. Like, we actually do find out that Monolophosaurus and even Ouranosaurus was actually in Biosyn, which was actually shocking. Like, even Ouranosaurus, because we haven't seen those dinosaurs since season 3 of Camp Cretaceous. And they are once again attacked by the Therizinosaurus, which actually ends up smacking a para. So this goes to show that the Therizinosaurus just does not care what dinosaurs it meets, whether it be a herbivore or a carnivore. It does not like any kind of dinosaurs. It's basically, it has its own, like, it holds its own against anything, honestly. So then after, when they get into the safe zone, they're like in a whole, like, crowded area with a bunch of dinosaurs, like the Monolophosaurus, Triceratops, Parasaurus, Gallimimus, all kinds of dinosaurs. But as they're making their way through the crowd of dinos, they actually end up running to another Ankylosaurus, which turns out to actually be Smoothie's dad. So then after, when they meet Smoothie's dad, they make the tough decision of actually having Bumpy and Smoothie stay with him, so they'll be happy at Biosyn as a big happy family. But then during this, when Brooklyn and Darius go off to try to, like, meet the group somewhere where they can get Ben to safety, what happens is Kenji stays with Ben, but unfortunately they're attacked by a group of Dilophosaurs, which, by the way, I do want to bring up. This is the one thing I didn't really like about this season, is that as much as they were giving the Dilophosaurs some justice, I kind of do feel they did the Dilophosaurs a little too much justice. Like, I will say this, with how they did both the Dilophosaurs and also the Giganotosaurus, they were kind of done a bit similar to how the Indominus Rex and Toro from season 1 of Camp Cretaceous were done. Like, you would think that maybe like the Giganotosaurus would be like the big bad of the season, like the big bad dinosaur, but it was only like that for a little bit. But then soon it would shift over to the Dilophosaurus, it would then go to Toro, like in Camp Cretaceous being the big bad. Like how first the Indominus Rex was like the big bad, but then it immediately shifted over to Toro. That's kind of like what they did with the Giganotosaurus and the Dilophosaurus in this. Which even was kind of, but even then, the Dilophosaurs were kind of reminding me of the Compies from seasons 2 and 3 of Camp Cretaceous with being that much of a nuisance. So what happens is, when all the dinosaurs escape the pens to follow protocol or whatever, there's one Dilophosaur that was left behind that actually has an eye patch after it had accidentally got venom spat in the eye by one of its pack mates. The other Dilophosaurs they do come looking for after it starts calling for them. They set it free, but they end up sensing Ben and Kenji and start chasing them. So Kenji desperately tries his best to fight off the Dilophosaurs, and he ends up sacrificing himself so Ben can escape onto like those little train cars so he can get to the surface to get to safety. So Ben makes his way there, but he actually ends up waiting for Kenji while Darius and Brooklyn beg for him not to do that. But then thankfully Kenji does make it, so don't worry. So then they're on that little train to get to the surface or to meet back up with the group. And when Darius is trying to make his way there himself, after when Brooklyn went to go save Yaz and Sammy from almost falling in that area with all the dinosaurs, when Darius is actually going there, he actually briefly hears Louis Dodson screaming from when he died from the Dilophosaurus. So that was like a little cool Easter egg right there. So eventually the group do reunite, and they manage to get to the surface area of Biosyn, where they had actually just witnessed the aftermath of the climax from Dominion, when Rexy and the Thera had killed the Giganotosaurus. And even then, Rexy and the Thera were not actually attacking each other. Now, when they got to the surface, they were going to take another autopilot helicopter to get home or to get help for Ben. But unfortunately, they failed to do that because that autopilot helicopter was the same one that Kayla, Owen, Claire, Maisie, Alan Grant, and Addie Sadler had taken when they went to go rescue Beta. So they unfortunately took that, and now they're left in the area of Biosyn. And Ben, unfortunately, is now starting to fall unconscious, and he's probably on the verge of dying at this point. So now they're trying to think, like, what can they do now? They don't have a helicopter. What can they do? But then they remember that Sammy and Kenji, how they got to Biosyn was they used Gia's car to get there. And it's not far from where they are. So they run back to go get the car and pick the group up and get them to safety so they can go get some help. But during this, they're attacked by the other Atrociraptors. And while they're trying to drive to this airfield area to get some help from the humans, they're being chased by the Atrociraptors. While they soon then get to the area where the elevator was, where Kenji and Sammy met Louis Dodson at the beginning. But unfortunately, they end up getting swarmed by the Atrociraptors. But as they're about to be killed, guess who shows up? Rexy shows up once again to save the day and fights off the Atrociraptors. But unfortunately, she's getting severely overwhelmed because it's literally 6-on-1. And then one pins Darius down, is about to kill him. But before the two of them can die, out of nowhere, the Buck and Doe Rexes show up to save the day, which is actually a really good thing to see because I remember there was a lot of fake leaks of being the Buck and Doe Rexes showing up in previous seasons, but those were all turned out to be fake, but we actually now finally see them in the 4th season. So they end up aiding Rexy and fighting off the Atrociraptors, which also gives the kids time to escape. So they managed to get to the airfield area just in the nick of time to save Ben. But they decide that one of them has to go with Ben to make sure they can be with them just in case he doesn't make it, but only one of them can go. So Kenji volunteers to go with the humans to be with Ben in case if anything happens, while the rest of the kids stay behind to help any injured dinosaurs during the fire. So then it would be some time later where everyone would meet back up in America at Darius's house to all like celebrate their return or whatever. And it gets really interesting because we see that Brooklyn has now got a new mechanical hand, and yes, Ben survives. So, and I already knew he wasn't going to survive. He wasn't going to die. I mean, come on. Like, you can't kill off the new bar 6, because that would just be... Because people would probably hate that if they did that. I mean, then again, we almost had Sammy die in Season 3 of Camp Cretaceous, but now Ben survives as well from a very fatal injury that he almost didn't make it from because he was falling in and out of consciousness. And then after that, they celebrate with all reuniting, and they also do find out that Smoothie has now grown up to be a bit bigger and is living a nice, happy life with Bumpy and Smoothie's dad in Biosyn. And then after that, it ends off with a nice, good ending. So yeah, honestly, I gotta say, Season 4 of Chaos Theory was definitely a very emotional roller coaster, but it did not disappoint regardless. But however, I have been seeing some people do videos and also a concept poster on Instagram doing theories that the New Bar 6 are going to be in another spin-off series in the future that's going to follow up to the events of Rebirth. Now, honestly, I do not want this to happen because I'm starting to feel that if that happens, they're going to turn the New Bar 6 into the Jurassic versions of Timon and Pumbaa. Now, you might be asking, what do you mean by that? Well, if you guys don't know, in The Lion King 1.5, we found out that Timon and Pumbaa were actually at many moments of The Lion King without us knowing. Like, they were there for the Circle of Life scene, I Just Can't Wait to Be King, the Elephant Graveyard, the Stampede. Like, you get what I'm saying? And in Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous and Chaos Theory, the New Bar 6 members witnessed different scenes from both Jurassic World 2015, Fallen Kingdom, and Dominion. Like, they saw the death of Mr. and Miss Ronnie, they saw the beginning scene from Fallen Kingdom when Rexy chased those guys and the Mosaurs jumped out of the water, and they even saw the Quetzalcoatlus chasing the helicopter or the plane that Owen, Claire, and Kayla were on. Like, they were witnessing different moments from the films. So, see what I'm going with this? And I kind of don't really want them doing that with Rebirth, because at this point it would just feel like it would already be starting to get very repetitive at this point. Like, it's like we would start thinking that every time a new Jurassic film comes out, we're going to expect it to know that the New Bar 6 was somehow in that moment the whole time without us knowing. So that's what I'm really hoping does not happen in the future if they have any more spin-offs planned. Like, honestly, Emblem Entertainment and Universal, let the New Bar 6 rest. Let their story come to an end. They've been through enough, and it's time that their story has concluded, to be honest. But overall, I really enjoyed Chaos Theory Season 4 and the season itself. The seasons had only got better, and they did a lot of the past dinosaurs from the films justice, and I am very, pleased with this outcome. But as for my rating, I'm going to rate this a straight up 10 out of 10. I'm literally going to rate it a straight up 10 out of 10, no questions asked. It does not need to be discussed of why it's giving this rating. It was an emotional roller coaster, and it had me in tears during the second half of the season, and I loved it. I loved it so much. Great, again, Netflix, Emblem Entertainment, and Universal and DreamWorks, amazing work. You really outdid yourselves. But anyways, that was my review on Season 4 of Chaos Theory. Now to get onto my review for Five Nights at Freddy's 2. So now to end off this video with my review on Five Nights at Freddy's 2, my thoughts about this movie. Honestly, guys, this movie, it was not great, but it was not full-on terrible. I'll get to in a second. So, first of all, the animatronics in this movie, were absolutely stunning to look at. The designs were absolutely amazing. Even then, the voice acting was also pretty good, which, first of all, there wasn't too much voice acting for the animatronics to be thought, mostly for some of the toys. So, but we'll get to that in a second. So, but I will say the beginning of the movie was actually pretty interesting, because they were, of course, showing a flashback from the FNAF 2 location where we see that Vanessa, when she was a kid, had actually had a close friend named Charlotte, who while she's at this birthday party at the place, she sees a kid get lured into the back rooms area by William Afton in a more cleaner Yellow Rabbit costume. So basically, this is before it had this incident where it's partially burnt off or whatever. So she does manage to save the kid, but under the cost of her life, where we find out she unfortunately had gotten stabbed several times by William Afton, where she then falls into this trap door that the puppet comes out of, and then we get our first good look at the puppet, and honestly, it looks really cool. It has a really cool design, honestly. And this actually shows that Charlotte is, of course, indeed the spirit of the puppet. which was a little shocking at first because I do remember that when FNAF 1 came out and we did hear the puppet's music box, I'm sure maybe a few of us, including Daco, were actually thinking that Garrett was going to be the spirit of the puppet, because if you guys know, in the FNAF game lore, the spirit of the puppet was actually William Afton's first victim. And in FNAF 1, like the movie, the first victim of William Afton was Mike's brother Garrett. But turns out that's actually not true, apparently, which was actually a bit of a shocker. But then during present day, Mike and Abby and Vanessa they're living a good life. Like, they're not together, but Mike and Vanessa are good friends, and Vanessa's pulled perfectly through her injury from the last movie when she almost got killed by her father. And Abby's still, like, going to school and, like, having friends. Though, however, she is struggling with parting ways with her old friends from Freddy's, and she kind of wants to go back to meet them, which she does actually end up going back there to try and find her friends, but they're nowhere to be found. And also, while they're there, Mike tries to cheer her up by saying that he'll one day fix her friends, which is the animatronics. And also, there is actually a really cool Easter egg that I actually want to talk about right off the bat, where when they go to the prize corner, when he offers to give her a gift, he actually pulls out a Freddy plush. And I was not expecting this to happen. So when he presses it, the Freddy plush actually does like the whole sound effect. Like, you know, like that one meme? So it turns out it's actually canon to the FNAF lore, actually, or the FNAF universe. So holy crap, who would have thought a most iconic FNAF meme becomes an actual thing in the FNAF franchise? Like, holy crap. But Abby does end up finding, like, the fast talker that was teased in, like, one of the trailers, which she used that to communicate with her friends, basically. Now, also, while she is in school, she actually, like, she is working on a science fair project for school, but we are introduced to her teacher, who named Mr. Berg, who honestly is really a scumbag, to be honest. And like come on, we had just reviewed Always Unusual, and we already had to deal with a scumbag bully, Lydia. So we don't need a scumbag teacher, Mr. Berg. Like, I mean, come on. He also is aware that all the kids are preparing for the upcoming Faz Fest, but he wants them to prioritize more on the science fair. And he even kind of antagonizes Abby with saying that, I guess, like, trying to motivate her not to go, basically. But even then, Abby is still wanting to participate in the science fair. So then at one point, when Abby has the Faz talker, like, she does eventually, like, get a reply from it that she thinks is actually from Chico, which she does end up following it to the FNAF 2 location. But before that, we do see a group of, like, ghost hunters, which are part of a TV show that Abby watched earlier, who actually go to the FNAF 2 location to investigate it, and they're then introduced to another antagonist named Michael Afton, who, if you guys don't know, is, of course, the son of William Afton. And he, of course, is, like, kind of, like, the main human villain in this movie, basically. So he takes them on a tour throughout the place, and as expected, the ghost hunters are killed off one by one by the animatronics. Like, one of the dudes is killed off by, oh crap, I already forgot, but one dude is actually pulled into the stream, and he ends up getting killed by a bunch of these, like, little tiny puppets. And then this woman who looks almost like Vanessa ends up getting killed by the puppet herself, and also ends up getting possessed. So the spirit of Charlotte, or the puppet itself, has this very terrifying ability where whoever it, like, attacks, it can possess the person and have them, like, take on, like, this slender, like, humanoid puppet appearance, which is freaking terrifying, to be honest. It's really terrifying. And then one of the other dudes does end up getting killed by Mangle when he gets, like, pulled up, and then he gets, like, eaten alive on the ceiling by Mangle. Which, funny enough, I remember Daco had a theory of something that could actually happen in FNAF 2. So it does maybe see that the developers had actually watched Daco's video for ideas for what could happen in FNAF 2, and they actually took some ideas. And I'm going to get to some more in a little bit, but for now, I don't want to go too far just yet. Let's get to, like, the movie a little bit by bit, and we'll get to the ending. So then later on, Abby does follow the Faz Talker to the FNAF 2 location, where she then is met up with Toy Chica. Now, with Toy Chica, this is one thing which made me not like the movie too much, is that they kind of prioritized Toy Chica over the other animatronics. Like, Toy Chica was kind of giving more of, like, the center of attention, like being, like, one of the main animatronics. But then again, I I did, though, like how they portrayed her. And Megan Fox, though, did do a great job voice acting her. The voice acting for Toy Chica was really well done. And I'll get to, like, the other animatronics voice acting. MatPat's voice acting of Toy Bonnie, it was good, but it was nowhere near what I was expecting. Like, they had to, like, of course, modified MatPat's voice to sound a lot like a girl, because Toy Bonnie did, of course, sound like a girl. While Toy Freddy, even despite he was voiced by Glamrock Freddy and Funtime Freddy's voice actor, he legit sounded like a more evil version of Glamrock Freddy, basically. But how I was expecting him to sound, I was kind of expecting him to sound more like how he does in Ultimate Custom Night.
That game was totally rigged! That's what you get for leaving me hanging!
But other than that, he sounded pretty good, and again, the designs were not bad. Though again, they weren't really seen as much in the movie too much, but they were done a little, like, better at least than the withered animatronics, who I will also get to in a little bit. Another thing I forgot to mention is that with Mike and Vanessa being closer friends, Vanessa is still struggling with having nightmares about her father. And speaking of which, again, there was another really cool Easter egg where she's having a nightmare where she's being hunted down by her father, where she hides in, like, his little, like, work area, where she hides in a corner, and she actually sees next to her a circus baby animatronic. So that, I guess that's like a good foreshadow for a FNAF Sister Location movie. But let's not get there just yet, though, because we still got FNAF 3 in the future, which I'm going to get to something about FNAF 3 in a second, which you guys are really going to love. And again, with the Circus Baby Easter egg for another animatronic, another Easter egg I forgot to mention was at the beginning during the flashback, is that when I saw the kids playing arcade machines, I swear to God, there was an arcade machine that actually had a little cartoon avatar of Candy the Cat, who, if you don't know, is like another popular, iconic, like, I guess like a fan-made FNAF character or something like that. I don't know too much about Candy the Cat, but I think he's somewhat related or connected to the FNAF lore. I could totally be wrong, but I'll put a picture of where I saw it right now on screen. But yeah, I swear to God, I did see Candy the Cat at the beginning on an arcade machine. But yeah, so Vanessa is struggling with having nightmares and trauma and flashbacks from her father, where she's trying not to, like, become part of, like, what he's done in the past, because she knows how much of a monster he really is. And during the scene when Abby goes back to the pizzeria after a bit, when she finished making this project for her science fair, or for the science fair, Mr. Berg becomes an absolute douchebag, where he basically, it turns out, it seems that he did not want Abby to pass and did not want her to participate, so he grabs her invention and purposely throws it on the floor and breaks it, which literally enrages Abby and runs back to the pizzeria and gets Toy Chica, embraces her, and tells her about what happened. And then Toy Chica volunteers to be her science fair project. And then this is when Abby asks, like, how are we going to get there? But then Abby has an idea. And guess who shows up once again to play another minor role? The Shogun himself, Corey Kenshin. Samurai, stand up! I'm sorry, I just had to do that. But honestly, I was really not expecting Corey Kenshin to come back once again for, like, his taxi driver role in the FNAF movie universe. Like, I was shocked by this, because literally, like, there was, of course, we did not see like a teaser of that in any of the trailers, but then again, I was happy to see Corey Kenshin again, so I guess this explains why he's probably not been as active as much on YouTube now. And when he did see Abby, he was like, where to? What? No, girl, get out of my cab, girl. And then he feels the car, like, shake. He pulls up his rearview mirror and sees Toy Chica in the car without her beak also, and her creepy looking eyes also. And then that's when he says, bro, I gotta get a new job. Well, bro, if you cannot take being a taxi driver anymore, then stick to being a YouTuber at most part. So yeah, that was a little cool Easter egg right there, how they once again brought back Corey Kenshin for this. Now, first of all, guys, I'm just going to cut straight to the chase by saying that no, unfortunately, if anyone was wondering, there is unfortunately no Markiplier cameo in this, so I do apologize, guys. So I really am sad to say that there is no Markiplier cameo, which I'm sure a lot of us were hyped to see if Markiplier was going to play a small cameo in this movie, the king of FNAF himself, but I'm afraid not, so oh well. So what happens is Toy Chica does go to the science fair with Abby, and then Mr. Berg then immediately thinks that this is someone in a costume, and he of course, like, tells Abby to get rid of that because it's making them look bad. This, of course, enrages Toichika, and then she decides to go talk to him and see what's really going on inside his head. And this is when Mr. Berg does end up getting his comeuppance, where Toichika ends up crushing his head open. They, of course, did not really show it, like, him actually getting his head split open, because, of course, they were wanting to kind of aim this at, like, a younger audience, so it can kind of be suitable for all ages, really. But, which I kind of wish they didn't really do, because I feel like they did want to go for a more actual scary take on this movie and actually be more of, like, a rated R movie, but I guess they just wanted to change this movie. But with what's going on, Vanessa knows that something really bad is going on, where she knows that Charlotte is behind this, and Charlotte's going to be doing something very diabolical. So first off, for how Chica got there was, earlier, Chica had actually managed to trick Abby into opening the perimeter of the pizzeria so the animatronics could escape. Now, this is actually what Charlotte was trying to do purposely when she ended up kidnapping Vanessa at one point, so that way, this could allow the animatronics to run free out of the pizzeria and go around the neighborhood and terrorize residents. So what happens is Vanessa is later found by Mike when he managed to go to the pizzeria to try to find Abby, which of course she's not there, but he finds Vanessa, Freezer, but he has to act quick to try and disable the animatronics before they could hurt anyone. And right now they're all over the neighborhood. Toy Chica is of course at the science fair, which Abby does of course winning the science fair. Toy Freddy is in the neighborhood at the Faz Fest and eventually goes just to a random person's house and starts terrorizing them. And Toy Bonnie ends up going to another person's house and breaks in and terrorizes a mom and her daughter. Well, when Vanessa is trying to, I guess, like, trying to get back to Mike's house to save Abby, Mangle jumps on her car and tries to attack her. And she does end up almost dying, but she eventually does. How she managed to defeat Mangle is she drives the car towards the house that Toy Freddy is at, crashes into the house, which causes Mangle to fly forward and crash into Toy Freddy, deactivating them. And then Mike is back at the pizzeria trying to deactivate them, while he's also dealing with the threat of Balloon Boy and the Withered Animatronics. Now to get to the Withered Animatronics, unfortunately, this was the only time they really made their appearance, when Mike gets inside the pizzeria to find Vanessa or Abby, and he sees them in one of the back rooms area. And then as Mike's trying to get the animatronics shut down, when Toy Chica knows something's wrong, or Charlotte possessing Toy Chica, she then activates the Withered Animatronics, which go after Mike. Mike, of course, does find the Freddy mask, which he puts on, which tricks the animatronics into thinking that Mike is an animatronic. Like, they actually did show how they see the perspective of a person with the mask on, and what they do is they scan it, and then they scan the mask, and they see it as an animatronic, basically. And then when Foxy shows up, of course, it doesn't work, because Foxy is always a bit twitchy, so it doesn't work. The mask, of course, does not work on Foxy. But with Balloon Boy, as much as he was not really seen in the movie as much, the way Mike finished him off was literally how us FNAF fans would do so to Balloon Boy in a nutshell. So he doesn't really end up laughing, like, annoyingly, but he ends up making, like, a very loud noise, which then causes Mike to grab Balloon Boy, twist his head, and rip it off, which I think was actually kind of funny, because as we know, we all hate Balloon Boy because of how annoying he is, because of how much of the balloon fucker that Brookie calls him is annoying as hell. So Mike pretty much got Balloon Boy what he really had deserved in the games. So then, as this is all going on, Mike does manage to turn off the animatronics right before Toy Bonnie kills the family that he was attacking. And Vanessa gets the families to safety, and she actually ends up bringing them to Doug, who's of course a fan favorite human character from the last movie. So it was nice to see Doug again. But after when Mike had managed to finish deactivating the animatronics, he knows that there's still one back at his house that hasn't been activated, and that one is Toy Chica, who has actually managed to bring Abby home to bed. She lays her down, but then we soon to find out that the marionette is actually inside of Toy Chica, like out of something from Alien. So the puppet breaks out of Chica's chest and attacks Abby, ends up possessing her. So then when Vanessa gets there, she's of course hunted down by a possessed Abby, and before Abby could kill Vanessa, Mike plays the music box, which ends up calming Charlotte down and freeing Abby. So it's not actually a big music box that calms the puppet down, but the puppet does end up coming out of a big music box. It's like a small music box that manages to soothe the puppet, because it turns out that Charlotte had actually had the music box itself that would calm her down, basically. So after when they save Vanessa and Abby, the toy animatronics, they once again, they break into their house, and who are also being led by Michael Afton. And what he does is he tries to convince Vanessa to join him so they can like be a family again. But of course, Vanessa is not wanting to let this slide. So that also before this, Mike does go back to the first location to try and get the spirits of the kids of the first animatronics to help save Abby. But unfortunately, he feels like there's no hope when they didn't reply. But as the toys are about to kill Mike, Abby, and Vanessa, you guys will not believe who shows up. The FNAF 1 animatronics then show up to save the day, and they destroy the toy animatronics. As much as this was shocking to see, there's one problem I have with this. How does that make sense? Because I'm pretty obviously sure that in the first game, like the game lore, or the second game's lore, the withered animatronics are indeed the first game's animatronics that just being used for spare parts, or for scrap, basically. But in the FNAF 2 movie, in the movie universe, or the movie lore, it turns out that the FNAF 1 animatronics and the withered animatronics are two separate entities, which I'm very confused on why they did that. But my guess is that, kind of like, I guess, with Sonic 3, with how they did Shadow's story, they probably wanted to, like, change the lore up a little bit, so it could be, I guess, a bit easier for newcomers to understand, I guess, but I don't know. So that was something I did find a bit confusing, but other than that, it was cool to see them return and save the day. And after this, the children are now finally put to rest, so now they can all now rest in peace, and the animatronics shut down. And it is a bit of an emotional scene. And then after that, you would think it would be a nice happy ending, right? Wrong. Because then, after when Mike learns about the stuff that Vanessa had with William Afton and Michael Afton, he then turns his back on Vanessa. Oh, and by the way, Michael Afton is actually eventually arrested. So he doesn't actually end up dying or turned on. He just ends up getting arrested. So then Mike and Abby do turn their back on Vanessa and leave her behind. And then soon, Vanessa is possessed by the puppet. And then that's when the movie just ends just like that. That was another thing I did not like about the movie, was the ending. The ending was very shitty with how they did it with a cliffhanger like that. Especially with how they just turned their back on Vanessa. But they're, of course, leading up to the events of the next movie. And speaking of the next movie, I want to talk about the post-credits scene. Which I'm not too surprised of what it was, but I was still shocked by it. So the post-credits scene shows a group of people going back to the first location to find some stuff for the upcoming Fazbear's Fright horror attraction. And if you've played FNAF 3, you know where this is going. So as they're trying to find some stuff, one of the guys finds something which they say, quote-unquote, a real one. So they tell each other to get it all wrapped up so they can get it there. And then we, of course, find out that the real one that they found is none other than Springtrap, which is basically now William Afton, who is now fully decayed from the animatronic, and now he's become Springtrap. And we do see his eyes briefly light up before the credits re-emerge once again, which is, of course, leading up to the events of FNAF 3. And besides, then again, they are working on FNAF 3, so we might get this movie sooner or later. Now, unfortunately, I did actually have to look this up on YouTube because the movie version I watched on Whatfix did not have the credits, so I had to find clips of this on YouTube. And to be honest, the audience reactions were not that big as I was expecting. Like, I was thinking, since Springtrap is a pretty iconic character, the theater reactions would be on par with the Shadow post credit from Sonic 2. But no, but I will say this is exciting. And also, when the credits do start rolling, it is worth mentioning that they did actually have the song It's Been So Long playing. Another very iconic FNAF song. So kind of like how they did in FNAF 1, where they had the FNAF 1 song by the Living Tombstone play, they have It's Been So Long playing for FNAF 2. So I bet when FNAF 3 has their credits rolling, how much you want to bet they're going to play Die in a Fire? If they do that, oh, that's going to be good if they play Die in a Fire at the credits of FNAF 3. And while the second half of the credits is going, there is like another little teaser like that sets up for what could happen in FNAF 3. Like, as you know, in FNAF 1, the credits, we heard the puppet music box, and we heard like the "Come Find Me" message from the Fast Talker. In this one, we actually hear like, I guess, like a recording or a message from Henry, who I think is like warning Mike about the puppet, basically, or warning Mike about what's to come next, which could probably lead to believe that Henry is actually still alive, and he could indeed play a role in FNAF 3. So that was pretty interesting. So I will say, as much as FNAF 2 did kind of end in a very bad and cliffhanger way, what they did have in the post-credits for what's to come next did have me hyped, though, so I will give it that. But yeah, other than that, my thoughts about FNAF 2 as much as this was not as, in my opinion, this wasn't as good as FNAF 1, but those saying that, it was not full-on terrible. It was not a full-on terrible movie, but I would rather watch this over Jurassic World Rebirth, though. Like, when I was watching this, I was worried that this was probably going to suffer the same issue as Rebirth, but to be honest, it wasn't that bad. It actually was done alright, but it wasn't great, though. I would still watch it, though. I would still watch this movie, though. It was a good movie, though. I think what it was, on another problem, was that the pacing for the animatronics was a bit slow. Like, again, like, with Toy Chica being, like, the center of attention of all the other animatronics, and with Toy Freddy and Toy Bonnie not having much of a role in this, was what I think kind of made this film a little weak, kind of. But, I don't know. But that's what I think was what made this movie a bit weak. But then again, I love all the other Easter eggs. Like, I love, like the Freddy meme Easter egg they did. The return of Corey Kenshin cameo was also pretty awesome. And again, the post-credit scene with Springtrap at the end, which I, of course, did expect. Because I do also remember that Daco, that was another thing Daco did have a theory about when he was talking about stuff for FNAF 2, for how it could end with some people going back to the old location for Fazbear's Fright to find, like, some stuff they could find, and then they managed to find Springtrap. So it turns out Blumhouse had once again taken some ideas from Daco. So if they did, bravo Daco for mentioning all that. But yeah, other than that, FNAF 2 was not that bad of a film, but it wasn't all that great, though. But I'm not saying it's terrible. So for my rating of this movie, I'm going to give this movie a 7, just a solid 7 out of 10. Again, not the best, but it wasn't the worst. But I will, of course, be hyped for what they have planned for FNAF 3, though. I will be, of course, open to what they have next for that. So I do have faith that they will do at least better. Maybe they'll do a little bit better, or they'll at least do decent with FNAF 3 in the coming future. But we'll have to wait and see. And so, yeah, guys, that's going to wrap up my review for both Hours Unusual, Jurassic World Chaos Theory Season 4, and Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Both their own good projects in their own ways. There were problems with, of course, FNAF 2, but it was enjoyable. Jurassic World Chaos Theory Season 4 was an emotional roller coaster, and Hours Unusual was a great addition to the Nothing Unusual universe by Tween Animations. And I am really interested to see what's going to come next for Tween Animations' future projects with Nothing Unusual 2, and the future of the FNAF movie universe. And also with Chaos Season 4, you guys might be asking, like, are you going to use the Giganosaurus for Season 4 of Save the Multiverse? Yes, guys, I will, of course, be using the Giganosaurus clips for Season 4 of Save the Multiverse, and I already have them ready. I already got all the clips ready, and which is the reason why I want to wait till 2026 to start on Season 4. So stay tuned for that, guys, for Season 4 of Save the Multiverse in the coming future. Now, you also might be asking, what about any versus battles? Honestly, guys, I don't think there's really any versus battles, given what we got. I don't think there's really any versus battles I can really come up with as of now. Like, the movies, and the shows, they didn't really offer too much that could offer any versus battles, but I could see what it could really do for some of the new screen time that they offered for the dinosaurs in Season 4 of Chaos Theory. But don't really expect it to be a full true thing, though. Like, don't bet on it completely, though, because things could change. But if anything, guys, that's pretty much just going to wrap up my video, guys. I had a lot of fun reviewing these, so I hope you guys did enjoy this. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe for more. It really helps out a ton. And let me know in the comments below, which of these did you guys enjoy the most? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.